old woman lived at the end of Willow Creek Road, a winding, desolate stretch that seemed to vanish into the encroaching forest. Her house, a skeletal frame of weathered wood, stood as a stark reminder of a time long past. Locals whispered of her, a recluse who had lived there since before anyone could remember. Emily, a curious young woman, was drawn to the eerie allure of the old house. One stormy night, driven by a mix of bravado and a thirst for the unknown, she ventured down the treacherous road. The wind howled like a wounded beast, and the rain lashed against the windows of her car, creating a world of watery distortion. The house loomed before her, an imposing silhouette against the tempestuous sky. As she stepped out of the car, a chill crept down her spine, a premonition of something sinister. The house seemed to breathe, the old wood groaning and creaking in the storm. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay and dust. Cobwebs draped from the ceiling like ghostly veils. There was a strange quiet, broken only by the relentless drumming of rain on the roof. As she explored the house, a sense of unease grew within her. In a room shrouded in darkness, she found an old, leather-bound diary. The pages were filled with a script that seemed almost archaic. As she deciphered the words, a story unfolded, a tale of unspeakable horrors, of experiments gone wrong, of creatures born of shadows. A sudden crash from upstairs jolted her from her reading. Her heart pounded in her chest as she ascended the creaking staircase. The upper floor was darker, more oppressive. A faint glow emanated from a room at the end of the hall. With trembling hands, she pushed open the door. The room was a laboratory, its once pristine equipment now covered in a thick layer of dust. In the center of the room, suspended in a glass tank filled with a murky liquid, was a grotesque figure. Its skin was pale and translucent, its eyes vacant black pits. As she watched, it moved, a slow, undulating motion that sent shivers down her spine. A guttural growl echoed through the room. The creature's eyes seemed to focus on her. Then, with a shattering of glass, it lunged. With a sickening crack, the glass tank shattered, and the grotesque creature erupted from its watery prison. Its form was more horrific than Emily could have imagined, a patchwork of human and animal, with limbs that ended in sharp, clawed digits. Its eyes, devoid of any human emotion, burned with a cold, predatory intensity. Blood-curdling scream tore from Emily's throat as the creature lunged. She stumbled backward, her heart pounding like a frantic drum. The room seemed to close in around her, the darkness pressing against her like a physical force. Cornered, she fought back with a desperation born of terror. She grabbed a metal rod from a nearby workbench and swung it with all her might. The rod connected with the creature's side, but it barely seemed to faze the monstrous thing. It roared in anger, its voice a guttural, inhuman sound that shook the house to its foundations. In that moment, Emily realized she was no match for this horror. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped her. She turned to flee, but the creature was faster. Its claws raked across her back, sending a shock of pain through her body. In that moment, Emily realized she was no match for this horror. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped her. She turned to flee, but the creature was faster. Its claws raked across her back, sending a shock of pain through her body. As darkness claimed her vision, she thought of the old woman, the recluse who had lived a lifetime in this house of horrors. And then, there was nothing. The storm raged on, indifferent to the terror that had unfolded within the old house. The wind howled like a mournful dirge, and the rain lashed against the windows, a relentless rhythm of despair. The house stood silent, its secrets locked away, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to stumble upon its dark history. The only sound was the distant wail of a siren, a promise of help, perhaps, or merely a cruel echo in the desolate night. And in the heart of the house, a grotesque creature moved through the darkness, its hunger sated for now, but its appetite for terror far from quenched.